Hi guys, it's me Franklin, and in this video we are going to talk a little bit about Django 6.1 Alpha. So what we all know is that Django 6.1 is here. Yeah, well, almost. And if you're a Django developer, Django 6.1 Alpha has arrived and is giving us a preview of what is coming in the next major release. And here's a look at what some of us should be looking at, and first has to do with the model field, which is a fetch modes. Yeah, and Django now gives you more control over how related data is actually being fetched from the database. We are talking about a new fetch PS mode that can automatically fetch related fields for all objects in the query when one object accesses them. And what does this mean for you? This means that we are going to have a fewer n+1 query problems and a better performance, yeah, without manually adding fetch or prefetch related everywhere in our code. And there is also some things about the raise fetch method, where you try to fetch some items that you feel like, oh, that feels to hit the database too much. It raises an issue. So in this particular video we are just going to talk about some of these releases that are coming into Django 6.1 Alpha. To be clear, Django 6.1 Alpha is not yet released. What is currently available is just a preview, a development of it, and it actually came last month, and by August the full version should be available for everyone to use. So let's take a look into what the Django 6.1 Alpha is promising to give us, right? But before then, we have to take a look at the documentation, and like you can see here, it's expected to be released on August 2026. Yeah, and these are some of the new features that it is promising. Like I said, the fetch one, the fetch PS, and then the raise method, right? And all this is for the database. I am happy so that you will not be having this n+1. A lot of people believe in Django or Python being a little bit slow, but there are programs out there, there are web apps out there that are even faster than Ruby on Rails or Go or whatever it is, right? So this is an example where they give us from Django import models. Of course, this is a model 1, and then for books, if you want to query the data, right? So books equals to books.object fetch mode, right? At first you may be using prefetch and then you pass in the query in there, but this particular one you are passing the models dot fetch PS into it, right? And I think we should take a look at it. So before you use any of these things, before you start to use the Django 6.1 pre-release, you actually have to make sure that you install it, right? And to install it, it means that you have to use the pre-arguments. Yeah, you have to use the pre-arguments in that. So I will have to install it now. Actually, it's quite a bit slow with my internet today, but that is what is used to install the Django pre into the environment. But don't forget, you have to use Python 3 env venv to install the venv. I prefer using venv, yeah, and some people prefer to use env, right? So, and I also prefer to name it venv. So you have to do that and also activate the environment, right? So now with the pre method, the fetch method, right? So if before Django 6.1, what we normally do is to use books equals to objects, right, .all, right? We just fetch everything from the database, and then you now tend to have a loop for book in books, print books.alter. That's if you have something of that sort. Now, what does this mean? This is an n+1 problem. Why is this n+1? Because if you have 100 books in the system, you are in the database, you are expecting to have 100+1 when you add 1, and all the time this loop is going to happen anytime you try to fetch that's the alter name from the books, right? And it's quite not interesting all the time. So there was the prefetch that we're using, but now Django 6.1 is promising us to give us books. Sorry, he's planning to give us the fetch PS mode, right? What this means is that anytime that you use the fetch PS, you are automatically going to fetch related fields all together, right? It is just going to be a few of the you are only going to hit the database once or twice. In this case, it's going to be twice because you fetch everything in one. That's the first hit in the database, and then the second hit is this, right? But for this particular one, you are fetching everything, and then you are also looping through all the time. So anytime you fetch one book, you fetch everything from it, and that is like n+1 problem. But this particular one, you only hit the database twice. That is just about it. Yeah. Then there is the model part, right? Let's talk about the raise part first, right? So with this raise part, what it means is that anytime you try to fetch an item from the database, right, you have the privilege of giving it an error, like how we have the 403, 404 and all that, right? So the database hit also have this, and this is in Django raise model, right? So if you are fetching a related item that is going to hit the database a lot of times, you can actually add the raise to the model, which is a database, of course, and then to give you an output of the field fetch blocked. That means that that particular field cannot be fetched. If not, that's going to hit your database a lot or can give you an error. So you just an error prevention method, right? And then there is the model method, right? In this model method, especially the first part of it, right, this is just for you to set an automatic system where anytime you fetch something from the database, it uses the fetch PS method, right? So this is just a query set that you put into your models, right, and then prevent too many hits with the n+1 issues. And then there is also, so when you do this, you can now query the object in this manner, right, using the models. Now there is one also interesting thing that has to do with, previously we were using UID4, but Django has now added the UID7 to it, right? So when you use UID7, it has added date time field, right, to the models, where so now you can be able to have a lot, or there's now a more additional ways of adding UID to your items in the database, right? And there is one interesting part of this whole thing that is so interesting to me. For me, I am very happy with this particular one, not just because it is about emailing, right? So when you take a look at the release documentation, right, it talks about mailers. Yeah, so just like how we have the database where you can add more database to the system, right, or to your settings where you have default, you have backend and all that, right? So mailers are also going to have, so you can add a lot of email settings to your Django app, and I am so happy. So this is an example here. So they talk about the default, which uses this SMTP, and then the third party one that uses this one, right? So I am a bit happy and more happy because you cannot add more emails to the system, differently use emails, you know. And there are some other minor changes that are coming, right? So you can go through the documentation, which I'll be leaving in the description, right, and see which one is good for you. For me, I think these are so far the major ones that I am happy about: the mailers, the raise, and then the fetch PS and fetch one modes in the database collection. So I'll leave this in the comment sections, and please let me know what you think about it. If you want to give it a try, you can give it. If you want us to write some codes to see how this works, also leave it in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow for more of our videos. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.